Well, thank you everybody for coming here. I'm glad the rain didn't come back. On behalf of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, I'm Associate Dean Chris Mitchell. Very happy to have you all here to have the coming home, yes, of our distinguished alumni sculptor, Francis Akosah, and his sculpture entitled Osono Aniso, or Tears of an Elephant. So we are very grateful to have it here. And we thought we'd have some folks that were involved in our reacquisition of it to say a word or two. We'll start with Provost Holly Farley.
Hi everybody, I'm Holly Farley. I'm the interim provost here at EIU, and I was asked to do a quick little say a few words, but I was just really excited to meet Francis today, and I've just heard some excitement around the elephant coming back, and so I was really excited to see the elephant, and I just want to thank you for the donors and obviously for our sculptor, and it's so perfect that you're here today. And also, I just feel like this is just going to be an inspiration to the art students here and future art students to be able to see something that a student created, an alumni created, every day. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
I'll introduce our Vice President for University Advancement, Mindy Spencer.
So ditto, pretty much what she said.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're amazing. I'm just teasing. So when I first started EIU, so I've been here for 2 years now, one of the first questions I asked was, great, yes, we know we need buildings, we need scholarships, we need all those things, but what about public arts? When I first heard about the science building, for example, I said, yeah, great, we can name labs, but what about the art? What about the green spaces? What about the environment around the building? Because it's really transformational. I know that Chris was saying it would be great if this becomes a photo spot for campus. Yes, students, alumni, parents, they pay attention to the art, and it becomes part of what makes a university vibrant. And what I really love about this project is it's an amazing intersection of a donor and alum coming together and making an impact on the campus. So thank you to you both. And Francis, I could just see your alumni pride beaming right now.
Yeah.
Very cool to be able to have your art at your alma mater. So thank you to you both. Yeah.
And speaking of donor, I'd like to acknowledge our gracious donor, Dr. Doudna Fine, Professor Emerita of English. Would you like to say a word?
Sure. I'd like to say a couple of things. I'd like to acknowledge Nora Pat Small and Rick Riccio, who saw this beautiful piece of artwork, and when the Doudna decided not to go for it, they took it home with them to their farm. And when they moved out of the region, I felt it would be a shame if it stayed on the farm. So I was so thrilled that everything could work together. I want to thank Chris Mitchell and Matt Boonstra for their part in bringing the elephant back. And most of all, I want to thank Francis for creating such an extraordinary piece of sculpture. It's so inspiring and beautiful. And I'm really glad it lives on and will become part of Eastern's public experience. So thank you, Francis, for allowing it to come back too and being part of this event.
Well, I also want to thank you for recognizing Professor Matt Boonstra, who is also instrumental in getting this here. And would you like to say anything, Matt, about the process of doing that?
Well, it's been a real joy. I was thinking about these memories I have of Francis, and one comes to mind in particular is it was the first day of school in 2021, Monday morning, arrive at the studio like around 8 o'clock, and there's about 10 paces from entering the sculpture studio to my office door, and I get there pretty quickly just to put my coffee down. And before I could make the 10 paces, Francis approached me with his sketchbook ready to go. And it just shows you to the testament now in full circle. And if you've been in Old Main lately, I still believe that Francis is still our poster child, essentially, the creative activity that happens, especially with the elephant, and just to see about how the department has provided an education for you to blossom and become the artist that you have has been outstanding to see, and we are just so excited for the wonderful things that are yet to come for you. So thank you.
Now we pass it on to the star of the show, who's going to tell us a little bit about the creation of this and his process, Francis Akosah.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I really appreciate this opportunity, and it's a great honor for me to be back here. And then, still starting from the scratch, like this was the first home I arrived in 2021, and then the welcoming, the community, the environment, the people, everyone have been so good to me, which I still carry that with me everywhere I go. So moving back to this elephant sculpture, I mean the year 2021 to 2022, it was a year that there was this activities going on in West Africa that a lot of endangered species were being hunted. And then these endangered species are very precious that whenever they still keep hunting them down, there'll be a time there will be no more of them. So I took upon myself to use my artistic practice to be the voice for the voiceless of these animals to be heard, right? And also it also catches back to me based on an experience I had with this species when I was a very young age. Because that time I didn't know anything about animal hunting or poaching or anything, but it really clicked in 2021 when I realized that these animals are being hunted now. Because when I was a kid, I went with a hunter with my grandfather, and then we chanced on a little elephant, kind of like just restless, just doing nothing. So we called in the wildlife, and then they came to pick the elephant up. So at that small age, having an encounter with this baby elephant, and then now hearing that there was a whole activity like the poachers hunting them down, it really clicked on that. Oh, okay, that means that this baby elephant was lost out of this poachers hunting their mother down. So, and then I started really getting super details with that because I realized that as an artist or using mixed media, like using wood, scrap metals and stones and stuff, I can combine this medium to tell a story or to draw people's attention on these activities to be stopped. So I started with the drawings, and then that was when I ran to Bonjour about it. I was like, I want to make this sculpture, and then how can I go about it? Because way back in Ghana, the biggest sculpture you can make is just like a 6 feet sculpture, and then they are mostly made of like concrete, right? But we don't really have like stuff like this in Ghana. So, and then flying here, seeing big sculptures in Chicago, like the Cloud Gate that I saw, it really also motivated me that, oh, okay, if people can make as huge sculptures like that, right, I can also push that standard. So looking at the situation that the activity I was having there, and then trying to bring something that when people sees it, they want to get closer to it. And when they get closer to it, they want to learn the story behind it. Why don't I create something that's huge like that, right? So I did a lot of research and then came up with almost like 6 endangered species that they were being hunted down. And then I selected the elephant to house all the 5 species that were being hunted down. So then I was still struggling to find a theme for it, like how to really like design it for you to suit the purpose of it. So I was having a lot of back and forward. But I was like, I really want to make this piece and I want to tell this story about it. So how do I go it? So we started with the drawings, and then the drawings came into like 3-dimensional using some of the 3D softwares like the Rhinoceros 3D, and then also did some mock-up as well. So these were all the process that was going towards like this big sculpture. And then now after going through all the drawing, the 3D modeling, and then the mock-up, it was time to start building it. I was like, I was a little freaking out because how can I convert all this process into a huge piece? So it started back to the drawing again. We find and there's like 2 big plywoods. It was a 4x8 plywood in the scrap pile. So I just like laid them on the floor, and then I just did a big outline of the elephant on it. And then with my fabrication skill that I've learned from Ghana, I started doing the fabrication on it. And then after the fabrication, I was like, how can I make it stand? And I realized that there were very nice gantry out there, which was very useful. So I started now converting the 2D for it to become a 3D, which was a very tough process, but I was really, really eager to get it done. And then with the much more like with the less time that we have to, because you have to do a GA activities, you have to have meetings, you have to still go to class, you have to still like it was a short window, but which wasn't it was so tight. But through that I still was able to get this piece done. And then fast forward, I still was able to get the armature, and then I needed material to be rendered on that. So I started asking people about like some materials like wood, where can I get gravel, where can I get scrap metals. And then with the good resources that we have here, Bonjour always push a lot of resources for me. People like, for instance, check this recycle yard, we can order this material for you. There is a tree falling down at the church building, so I was collecting all this material in the studio. And then the preparation also took some time because I had to bring in all these twigs, like cut them into the same sizes, drill holes into the put wires in. So it was a whole process that it really took a lot of time. But because of the passion I have for these animals and then the activities being running on them, I really still wanted to bring it to the people for them to see it and also be like a campaign for like these animals. So I was putting in so much time. So I was always working like from morning to morning, and then I'll quickly go home, go shower, go do everything for my G activity. So it was a whole lot all for like this billboard to be raised, or for this banner to be raised. Because I really put a lot of time into it. Yeah. And then fast forward, it came into life. And then it was exhibited at the table in the year 2022 for the Rush show. And then after that, I had a switch move that I had to pursue my Masters of Fine Arts, because after MA, I was thinking of applying for MFA too as well. So, and then I was supposed to move to University of Tennessee, but the windows was too short and I couldn't carry the whole piece there. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? But I was in the conversation that it was gonna be installed on campus, but I wasn't hearing any message or any back and forth. By the time it was too tight, and then Rick offered to be installed on his property, and I was like, okay, fine. As far as I'm not gonna dismantle it, so it was transferred to the other side of Charleston, and then it was there for almost like 4 years. So when I heard that it's coming back to campus, I was like, yes, finally it's coming back to campus. Yeah, because I really wanted it to be a public view instead of it being on a private property, right? So, and I was always being worried about. I always keep thinking about how am I going to bring this, or how am I going to take it from them and bring that. So when I heard the news that the elephant is coming back to campus, I was so excited. So at least it can be on a public view, and also it can also be from the place that I use the same machines, the same material. Because all this material, the wood for instance, I had it all on campus trees. So it being installed here is something that I use. But it's still something that I took. And the same stone that I also use, these same stones, I started picking them around like just like this little tree. So all the materials that was rented on these feet were all found in EIU. So it being installed on this land is kind of very like it really shows it's very personal to me as well. And also, so thanks so much for bringing this piece here. I really appreciate it. And then so it was the first piece that I have made that was as huge as this. It was right from Ghana. The little piece I could make was just 2 feet and 3 feet. But this was my first large sculpture. So it also being installed here on campus is something that is very important, and I really appreciate that moment. So that is something that I can talk about there.
Thank you, Francis. You surely are an example of the artistic excellence that we are so fortunate to work with here in the Doudna, and we welcome you home. We welcome your sculpture home. And if I may read the plaque just to dedicate this, what the plaque reads is Osono Aniso, otherwise known as Tears of an Elephant, by Francis Akosah, 2022, donated by Doudna Fine, with thanks to Nora Pat Small and Rick Riccio. This will reside at the base. We will cherish this for many years to come. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
Jenny for putting